With your permission, I will now move to the closing session and take up agenda item 10, formal closure. I see no objection. Thank you. I shall now, in my capacity as Chairperson-in-Office of the OSCE, deliver the closing statement. Colleagues, it now falls to me to bring an end to the 27th OSCE Ministerial Council. It was 2 years ago in Milan that Albania was chosen as the 2020 chairmanship. And I recall that at that time, nearly none was really keen to do so. Now, too many are lining up wanting to be chair. And let's be honest, when we started in January, the expectations you had for us weren't that high, to say the best. We knew that, because this is quite a tough organization to manage. Not fun, I would say. And Albania, being new to this level of international community and responsibility, with all the stigma that unfortunately still comes with just the name in the eyes of some, wasn't really what could excite your senses. A young democracy, often able to get stormy and far from having the diplomatic firepower of most countries before us in this chair. The odds were stacked against us. At the start of the year, I set out 3 objectives: to implement our commitments together, to make a difference on the ground, and to build stability through dialogue. We aimed high, challenging ourselves to make not just an impression, but an impact. But we also kept ourselves down to earth while embarking in this quite challenging new adventure for a country like ours. The very last to join OSCE, by the way, and really very much later than the last previous ones. And then, just a little time after our start, boom, the pandemic introduced its scary self among all of us. We had to work from home, behind screens, deprived of the ability to meet face-to-face, which is so crucial to diplomacy and deal-making processes. But still, we had to keep going, keep doing this job that meant so much in the history of our relations with the outside world. Once upon a time, but yet in our lifetime, we were the North Korea of Europe, and suddenly we had to lead, through a pandemic, such a large world organization. So the odds became even worse. But we dealt with it and succeeded to make progress, I must say, a not at all obvious progress for anyone. We negotiated an increased budget for the special monitoring mission to Ukraine. We implemented new ways of working for the OSCE with a quick transition to hold our discussions and take decisions online. It looks not something to be underlined, but let me remind you that we did that before the United Nations and others adopted, and it's not a little thing, I believe. Then in July, boom, we lost the OSCE management. No consensus about the whole team of top 4. And yes, precisely, Albania had to assume more responsibilities than any chair before. We had to empower the capable deputies to step up and to step in ourselves also where it was needed to. The odds were well and truly against us. Then boom, Belarus came. Suddenly, the much more highly reputed megastructure, namely EU and NATO, to mention two, seemed useless behind the barricades between the West and the East of our organizational map. And so our organization popped up in the eyes of everyone as the only address to address the huge concern about the despicable disruption of our values and principles in Minsk. We tried to help, but our offer was not taken. We rightly allowed for the report of the Moscow mechanism to be heard and its recommendations to be considered. Far from ideal, but more than nothing. This regional situation was followed by another boom, the fierce fighting in the Nagorno-Karabakh. Conflict context added to the other complex situations we had to handle, from the crisis in and around Ukraine, to Georgia, to the Transnistrian settlement process. Clear, new hostilities made the conversations in the OSCE even more tense and diverse. But we listened carefully to all sides to find a way forward. At this stage, everything was against us, crisis upon crisis upon crisis, but we persevered and did not let any of that stop us from working. We had a point to prove, we took it in all our strides, we showed our resilience, our ambition, our passion. And we did it also, let me say, in the Albanian way, with fire, perseverance, some charm maybe, and for sure, fueled by gallons of coffee. We learned on the job, but we did the job. Against all odds, we delivered. This Ministerial Council is the happy end of our main character role in the film of this year for the OSCE, and it has been a good end, I must say. But although modesty in public domain is not my main strength, I have to say it loudly and clearly. It was a success, but it's far from being my success. There is a long list of people who should be thanked for the part they have played. First of all, thank you for waking up and joining from across our region to contribute to our debate all the way in such complicated time. These 2 days have been a valuable opportunity to share our views. While we could not be together, I will always regret that, because not because of us, you all had to lose the chance to savor the formidable treat of Albanian hospitality. But still we have had 53 ministers attending online. Not obvious, frankly, in these turbulent, distracting times. And thank you to all of the precious colleagues that made it happen so graciously. But let me say that that turnout demonstrates the renewed importance that we attach to the purpose and work of the OSCE. We are a diverse organization and we may have our fair share of disagreements, but we should never forget the potential of the impact we can make together. Second, I want to thank your teams, because behind everyone who has spoken in this council are those who do the real hard work, day in, day out, and who prepare the speeches. They have represented you admirably throughout the year. Third, I want to thank the excellent women and men of the OSCE executive structures and field missions. They have helped us to deliver on our chairmanship's agenda and priorities and continue to make a practical difference despite these circumstances. I would like to thank in particular our special and personal representatives and the officers in charge of the Secretariat and institutions whose advice, experience, and support has been invaluable. I also need to mention the unsung heroes of the OSCE during the pandemic, the ICT and conference service teams, who have kept the show on the road. We couldn't have done all this without them. Last but by no means at least, I want to thank my team in Vienna and in Tirana. They have overcome obstacle after obstacle, and unlike the others, they had the odds to overcome, and they did. They have had to operate in the most challenging of circumstances, at a clear disadvantage compared to previous chairmanships. They have been apart from their families and friends, working tirelessly for months to deliver a good result for Albania, for you, and for the OSCE. They represent the best of Albania and the best of the international support to Albania. They should be proud of that and of everything they have done. I'm proud of them, and I'm proud and also happy to have got to know from near, thanks to the daily joint work, a great talent of our foreign service, our ambassador Igli Hassani. No exaggeration, without him, we would not have been able to make it all the way. And thanking him, I want you all to join me in congratulating him for the happy coincidence of his birthday today. I'm very proud because, dear colleagues, this seems to be the most productive Ministerial Council. I was told that in many years, and I don't see a reason why to not mention it. We have just appointed the new leadership of the OSCE, which was not obvious at all in the very beginning. It looked quite an impossible enterprise, to be frank. And I am now today in the position to be very pleased to welcome to the Ministerial Council Helga Schmidt as Secretary General, Matteo Mecacci as Director of the Office for Democratic Institutions and Human Rights, Teresa Ribeiro as representative of Freedom of Media, and Karat Abratkamov as High Commissioner of National Minorities. We have also appointed a new chair for 2023, our close friend and neighbor, North Macedonia. The chairmanship is not an easy task, so I truly admire their determination to take it on and show that the countries of Southeast Europe have growing international ambitions. And tell me, isn't it great that the traditionally disturbing Balkans are engaging and delivering in cooling things down in such a large space like the one OSCE covers? It's amazing. I hope this will also help to change for good the mind of some esteemed colleagues, EU colleagues, who are great people, likable friends, but who still have some shady thoughts about us, Balkan folks. With this new leadership and the succession of chairs in place for 2021, 2022, and 2023, the OSCE is firmly back in business with full options. This Ministerial Council has also just agreed several new commitments on combating transnational organized crime, on countering corruption, and on preventing torture in the OSCE region. We have therefore delivered much needed progress in all three dimensions of the OSCE security. There has been no small undertaking. And we have delivered on our ambition to promote gender equality with a gender balance in the top jobs, leading a fully gender balanced government, which is among top 5 in the United Nations in that regard. I am very proud to leave as a mark of my chairmanship the fully gender balanced secretariat of the OSCE. And to say, I wish Albania will have in coming times a woman in the top job, but it is great that OSCE already has it now. Together, Ann Linde as chair and Helga Schmidt as secretary general will make OSCE, by no doubt, a better place. And all of us will have a great duo on top during the whole next year. We have also agreed a declaration encouraging deeper cooperation with our Asian partners, as well as a joint statement on the 5+2 talks on the Transnistrian settlement process. The Minsk Group co-chairs countries, Russia, France, and the United States, also issued a statement yesterday, which calls on Armenia and Azerbaijan to continue fully implementing their obligations under the 9th of November arrangement. Now is the time to take advantage of the ceasefire to negotiate a lasting and sustainable peace under the auspices of the co-chairs. But, colleagues, we still have more to do. and our negotiations are ongoing in the margins. There are three remaining proposals still on the table: on COVID-19, on environmental protection, on combating human trafficking. Each of these proposals command the support of 55 or more participating states. So to those few who are yet to join consensus, I ask that we find those final millimeters of compromise to find agreement in the next few hours. In a very personal note, I leave with you the humble suggestion to start a constructive, open-minded discussion on how OSCE should foresee its future, by engaging in a reform that will better prepare the organization for the challenging times ahead. There is a lot to be kept, but there are also things to be rethought and reshaped within the mechanisms of this huge structure. OSCE came in life when the world was a very different one, but still the divisive lines between the founders were immense. They made it happen. Let's start from there as an example of the goodwill to change for the good of all our people from Vancouver to Vladivostok, and let not forget that compared to that time, the threats we all face are much bigger than the threats from within. I know, yes, I know, the bunch of issues that divide us within is far from irrelevant, and it is present, even when it comes to start an informal discussion. But still, let not refuse to see beyond them and to find the way to build a new togetherness when it comes to face common threats and very common challenges. I also know that the Russian friends are quite outspoken in such direction, but without necessarily agreeing with the notion of informal group, I would say let not kill the message because of the judgment on the messenger. And make no mistake, while you are hearing this from me, because I'm not someone who leads a disengaged country or a biased one. All the contrary, Albania is a proud member of the Euro-Atlantic Alliance, and we fight every day to become, one day, a proud member of the EU, despite the sometimes regretful moments we have to experience, especially after the EU councils, when they do not deliver on what we have deserved through hard work. But nothing can change our mind about putting all our energies in the hard work to become part of the EU family, as nothing will change our heart in being devoted to the special partnership with the United States, by always aligning with them and the EU when it comes to our foreign policy. And still, I cannot but say that there is an old elephant in this big, big room, which OSCE cannot afford to not see and not talk about when it comes to project and build together a future for all the children born between Vladivostok and Vancouver. Colleagues, Albania may be a small country, but we wanted to do big things this year. Our country has never had a diplomatic moment quite like this here today. If we can deliver in the OSCE, mid-pandemic, with conflicts and crises all around us, there should be no question that we can deliver elsewhere, included at the United Nations Security Council in 2022. And this is the next goal. But today is also a proud moment for the OSCE. The organization has given Albania so much support over the past 2 decades on everything from judicial reform to stopping the flow of small arms and light weapons. Emerging from an isolated dictatorship to the proud democracy we are now, the OSCE has always stood alongside us. So it has been an honor and a privilege to give back. No matter what your history, no matter if you are from North America, Europe, or Eurasia, no matter how large or small, the OSCE is a platform through which we can all be heard, a platform through which we can make a difference to our own security and to others. It is an organization whose need for consensus makes it both fragile but also powerful, and which needs responsible engagement from all states to harness that power, to stop those fragilities by being exploited. It is an organization which has a place in the world, an organization which deserves to be valued in the same way we value our membership of the UN, of the EU, of the Council of Europe, or of NATO. We are not a talking shop. We are not a fridge for frozen conflicts. We do great work where others cannot or will not venture. Great work where others cannot or will not be able to be involved. Here ends, my friends, our chairmanship today and our journey. It has been a wild ride, a beautiful one, and I send my very best wishes to Sweden. I just did to Anne for next year. She had to leave, and that's why next we will have to ask her ambassador to take the floor. But to conclude, I want to guarantee everyone that we'll stand by your side as part of the Troika to help in every way we can. Thank you very, very much for your attention and for joining us online by not having the chance to join us offline. Thank you.